There is a woman in your family right now, and you know exactly who I'm talking about, who has been quietly, systematically, and deliberately draining the life out of you. Not with weapons, not with threats, but with tears, guilt, manipulation, and the one thing you can never seem to say no to, the idea that she needs you. And the saddest part? You've been helping her in secret. Behind your partner's back, behind your children's back, behind your own best judgment. You've been sneaking money into her account. You've been answering her calls at midnight. You've been showing up when no one else knows you showed up. And every single time you told yourself the same lie, this is the last time. But it never is. Because here's what nobody in the spiritual community will tell you plainly. This is not love. This is a soul contract being exploited. And if you are a chosen one, a lightworker, an empath, or simply someone who is born with a heart too big for this world, this woman found you on purpose. Whether she's your mother, your sister, your aunt, your cousin, or even a female figure who entered your life and made herself feel like family, she has identified your gift and she has turned it into her greatest resource. Today, we are going to talk about why you keep doing this, what it's costing you, and most importantly, how to stop. Not with cruelty, not with drama, but with the quiet, unshakable power of someone who has finally decided that their destiny matters more than someone else's dysfunction. If this message is for you, write 66 in the comments right now, because 66 is the number of family, of nurturing, of responsibility, and it is time to reclaim what that number truly means in your life. Before we go any further, if you've never seen this channel before, welcome. This is a space for chosen ones, empaths, and awakened souls who are done playing small so that broken people can feel comfortable. If that resonates with you, subscribe right now and turn on your notifications, because this content is not for everyone, but it was made specifically for you. And drop a 66 in the comments if you already know who I'm talking about in your family. Let's begin. Part 1. You were chosen, and she knows it. Long before you understood what it meant to be a chosen one, she understood it. She felt it. She may not have had the vocabulary for it. She may not have called it by any spiritual name, but on a deep, primal, energetic level, she knew that you were different. You were the one who cried when others got hurt. You were the one who stayed up worrying. You were the one who always found a way, always came through, always made something out of nothing. You were the miracle maker in the family. And while that gift was supposed to be your greatest strength, in her hands it became your greatest vulnerability. Chosen ones are not randomly scattered into families. There is a reason you were born into the specific lineage you were born into. You came in as a cycle breaker. You came in with a higher vibration than the people around you. You came in on purpose, equipped with the emotional intelligence, the resilience, the creativity, and the spiritual sensitivity that most people in your family simply do not carry. But here is the dark side of that assignment that no one prepares you for. When you are the highest vibrating person in a low vibration environment, you become a target. Not because people in your family are evil, not because they were born without souls, but because low energy is always attracted to high energy. Darkness always moves toward light, not to celebrate it, but to consume it. And this woman, she has been consuming you for years. Think about the pattern. Think about how it always starts the same way. There is a crisis. There is always a crisis with her. A financial emergency, a health scare, a falling out with someone else in the family, a situation that is always, somehow, at a boiling point. And you, because you are who you are, feel the pull. You feel the urgency. You feel the guilt already forming in your chest before she even finishes her sentence. And so you help. You give. You sacrifice something. Your time, your money, your peace, your sleep, your plans, and you give it to her. And for a brief moment, the crisis is resolved. She is grateful. Things are calm. You feel like you did the right thing.
But then, and this is the part I need you to sit with, nothing actually changes for her. 3 weeks later, 2 months later, the crisis is back. Different shape, same energy, and the cycle begins again. This is not a coincidence. This is a pattern. And patterns in the spiritual world are messages. This pattern is telling you one very important thing. Your help is not helping her. It is helping her stay stuck. Part 2. The secret help is the most dangerous help. Now let's talk about the part that most people skip over, the secrecy. Because there's a reason you haven't told your partner about the money you sent last month. There's a reason you don't mention to your closest friend that you drove across town at 10 p.m. to handle her problem. There's a reason this help lives in the shadows of your life, hidden from the people who know you best. And that reason is not protection. It is not kindness. It is shame. On some level, deep inside you, you already know that what you're doing doesn't make sense. You already know that the people who love you, your partner, your children, your real friends, would look at the situation clearly and say, "Why do you keep doing this?" And you don't have a good answer, so you hide it. But here is what hiding does energetically. It doubles the cost. Every secret you keep drains you twice. Once when you perform the act, the giving, the sacrificing, the showing up, and again every single day that you carry the weight of concealment. You are now managing 2 burdens, her problems and the secret of your involvement, and neither one is getting lighter. There is something else happening in the secrecy that I need you to understand. When you help someone in secret, you remove all accountability from both of you. She never has to face the full picture of what she is asking of you, because she never sees the full picture of what it costs you. And you never have to face the full picture of what this pattern is doing to your most important relationships, because you keep it hidden from the people who could reflect it back to you clearly. The secrecy is a trap, and you built it yourself. This is not said to shame you. This is said because chosen ones are often the last people to recognize the traps they've constructed with their own hands, because they built those traps out of love, or what they believed was love. But love does not hide. Love does not sneak. Love does not live in the shadows of your life like something you should be embarrassed about. What lives in the shadows is obligation, fear, guilt, and the deep unhealed wound that says, if I stop giving, I stop being worthy of love.
Part 3. The wound she found and the story she told you. Every chosen one carries a core wound. It is part of the design. You came here to heal, which means you came here having something to heal from. And the most common core wound among empaths and lightworkers is this: the belief that your value is conditional on your usefulness. Somewhere in your early life, and you already know when, even if you haven't said it out loud, you learned that love had to be earned, that approval was something you performed for, that the way to be safe in a family system was to be needed, to be helpful, to be the one who made things better. You learned to read the room before you learned to read books. You learned to manage other people's emotions before you ever learned to manage your own. And this woman, whether she did it consciously or not, found that wound with surgical precision. She may not know the language of energy or soul contracts or karmic patterns, but she knows instinctively exactly what to say to activate your wound. She knows how to make you feel guilty with a single sentence. She knows how to make you feel responsible for her outcomes with a single look. She knows how to reframe her choices as your obligations so naturally that by the end of the conversation, you've forgotten whose problem this actually was. This is called manipulation. And I want to be clear that manipulation does not always come from malicious intent. Sometimes it comes from deep pain. Sometimes it comes from a person who was never given the tools to advocate for themselves. Part 3. The wound she found and the story she told you. Every chosen one carries a core wound. It is part of the design. You came here to heal, which means you came here having something to heal from. And the most common core wound among empaths and lightworkers is this: the belief that your value is conditional on your usefulness. Somewhere in your early life, and you already know when, even if you haven't said it out loud, you learned that love had to be earned, that approval was something you performed for, that the way to be safe in a family system was to be needed, to be helpful, to be the one who made things better. You learned to read the room before you learned to read books. You learned to manage other people's emotions before you ever learned to manage your own. And this woman, whether she did it consciously or not, found that wound with surgical precision. She may not know the language of energy or soul contracts or karmic patterns, but she knows instinctively exactly what to say to activate your wound. She knows how to make you feel guilty with a single sentence. She knows how to make you feel responsible for her outcomes with a single look. She knows how to reframe her choices as your obligations so naturally that by the end of the conversation, you've forgotten whose problem this actually was. This is called manipulation. And I want to be clear that manipulation does not always come from malicious intent. Sometimes it comes from deep pain. Sometimes it comes from a person who was never given the tools to advocate for themselves clearly and directly, so they learn to get their needs met through emotional pressure instead. That does not make it acceptable, but it does make it understandable. Understanding it is important. Excusing it is where you have been losing yourself. Because you have used your understanding of her pain as a reason to override your own. You have told yourself, she had a hard life, she doesn't know better, she needs me. And those things may even be true, but the question is not whether she needs you. The question is, what does your help actually produce? If your help over 5 years, over 10 years, over a lifetime has not produced any lasting change in her situation, if every injection of your resources, your energy, your time has been absorbed without growth, without transformation, without accountability, then you are not helping her heal. You are helping her remain broken. And that is not love. That is codependency dressed in spiritual clothing. Part 4. What this is costing your destiny. I want you to stop for a moment and think not about her, but about you. Think about the dreams you have put on hold. Think about the business idea you keep circling but never launching. Think about the course you were going to take, the savings you were going to build, the relationship energy you were going to invest in your actual home. Think about the nights you didn't sleep because you were worried about her situation. Think about the conversations with your partner that turned into arguments because something was off, something was tense, something wasn't being said. Think about your children watching you exhaust yourself for someone who does not pour back into you. Watching you model, without words, that self-sacrifice is what love looks like, that you give until you have nothing left, and then you give some more. This is your destiny on the line, not hers. Chosen ones are not just here to survive. You are not just here to simply manage other people's chaos and make it to the end of the week. You are sent here with a specific assignment, a creative vision, a healing gift, a business, a message, a ministry, something that the world is waiting for. And every ounce of energy you pour into a bottomless pit is energy that your destiny never receives. The enemy of great is not bad. The enemy of great is the good enough distraction that keeps you busy and exhausted so that you never have enough left to become who you were actually sent here to be. She is not your assignment. She has become your distraction. And somewhere in the part of you that is most awake, most aligned, most connected to the truth, you already know this. You have known it for a while. You just haven't known what to do with that knowing. Part 5. Why you keep going back. The spiritual truth.
Let's go deeper. There is a reason that even after you've decided to stop, even after you've drawn the line, even after you've said, I can't do this anymore, you go back. The call comes in, and something in your body responds before your mind has a chance to intervene. Your nervous system is already in rescue mode before you've consciously agreed to rescue anyone. This is not weakness. This is programming. You were programmed, likely before the age of 7, to respond to certain emotional cues with activation. Distress in someone around you becomes your emergency. Their urgency becomes your urgency. Their pain becomes your responsibility. This programming runs deep below the level of conscious thought, in the body, in the nervous system, in the survival brain. This is why affirmations alone don't work. This is why knowing better doesn't automatically lead to doing better. Because the pattern isn't living in your intellect, it's living in your cells, and it was written there by experiences that happened long before you had the capacity to question them. From a spiritual perspective, this is also the nature of karmic contracts. You may have an ancient soul agreement with this woman, mother, sister, aunt, whoever she is, that predates this lifetime, a contract that says, I will show up for you, I will save you, I will not leave you behind. And every time she activates that contract, your soul responds because it remembers making the agreement. But here is the truth that will set you free. Soul contracts can be renegotiated. They are not prison sentences. They are not permanent. You did not come here to honor every agreement your soul made before it fully understood its own worth. You came here to evolve, and evolution means releasing the contracts that are keeping you small, that are keeping you bound, that are keeping you from the full expression of who you actually are. It is time to rewrite this contract.
Part 6. How to Stop. The Real Way. This is the part everyone wants, and this is the part that requires the most honesty. Stopping does not mean having a dramatic confrontation. It does not mean sending a long text explaining everything you've realized. It does not mean burning the relationship to the ground or announcing to the family that you're done. None of that is necessary. All of that is just another form of the same energy, reactive, emotionally driven, and centered on her response rather than your peace. Stopping means making a quiet, firm, internal decision, and then acting from that decision consistently. Here is what that looks like in practice. First, you stop the secrecy immediately. Whatever you have been hiding from your partner, your household, your close circle, you bring it into the light, not as a confession of weakness, but as an act of integrity. You cannot heal a pattern that you're still hiding. Transparency is the first act of reclamation. Second, you establish a single, clear boundary, and you do not negotiate it. This is not about cutting her off completely, unless that is what is needed. This is about choosing one thing that you will no longer do, one type of resource you will no longer give, one type of call you will no longer answer. Start with one. Hold it like your life depends on it, because your destiny does. Third, you redirect the energy. Every time you feel the pull to rescue her, you pause and ask, what does my destiny need right now? Then you give that thing the energy you were about to give her. Over time, this rewires the pattern. It teaches your nervous system a new response to the familiar trigger. Fourth, you grieve, because stopping this pattern will feel like a loss. Even though it is a gain, even though it is freedom, it will feel like grief. Let it. You are losing a version of yourself that believed this was your purpose. You are losing the identity of the rescuer. That is real, and it deserves to be felt. Grieve it and keep moving. Fifth, you invest in your own healing. Therapy, coaching, spiritual practice, community, whatever the form, you begin actively working on the wound that this pattern has been built upon. Because if you don't heal the wound, the pattern will simply find a new host, a different woman, a different situation, the same energy. Part 7.
The chosen one's true responsibility. I want to close with this because it is the most important thing I will say today. You were not chosen to be depleted. You were not chosen to be a sacrificial offering on the altar of other people's unhealed wounds. You were not chosen so that your gifts could be consumed by one person who was never going to grow from them anyway. You were chosen to be a light in the world, a real light, a sustained, powerful, generative light that illuminates paths for people who are genuinely walking towards something. And lights that try to give their energy to every dark corner eventually go out. Your responsibility as a chosen one is not to help everyone who asks. Your responsibility is to protect the gift long enough to deliver it to the world. That means boundaries. That means discernment. That means sometimes saying no to family, because your assignment is bigger than your family, and your family will ultimately benefit more from your greatness than from your depletion. The woman in your family, whoever she is, deserves to find her own strength. And the most powerful thing you can do for her is to stop being the reason she never has to. When you remove yourself as the safety net, you do not cause her to fall. You create the conditions under which she finally has to learn to fly. That is not cruelty. That is the highest form of love a chosen one can offer. Trusting another soul enough to let them rise under their own power. You have given enough. You have hidden enough. You have shrunk yourself enough. It is time to rise. It is time to be the full, undiluted, unapologetic version of who you were sent here to be. Your destiny is calling. Your gifts are needed. The world is waiting. And the first step begins the moment you decide, quietly, powerfully, permanently, that you will never again help her behind your back, because you deserve to live in the light, fully, out loud, without shame. And so does every dream you've been quietly carrying while giving away the energy it needed to become real. If this message landed in your soul today, write 66 in the comments. Share this with a chosen one who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to do the deep work of reclaiming your energy, your boundaries, and your destiny, subscribe and stay close. This journey is just beginning.